Hello everybody and welcome to this video. My name is Benvarmeren and I'm here to take you through patch 6.17. So let's just get started. And first up is Annie. So Tibbers in Rage wears off faster after Annie dies, and that is the bonus movement speed and attack speed after Annie's death decays 20% faster. So Tibbers will not be the fastest bear, and it actually runs pretty fast right now. So with it falling off 20% faster, that just means that now that 20% might be the difference between getting a kill or not getting a kill. It's a small buff. I haven't seen any too much, so I think this might be a little bit sad because, again, it's a nerf, and it doesn't see too much play in the start anyways. So in this patch, Riot is hitting a lot of utility, 80 carries, as we'll talk about it later. So first up is Ashe, and Q duration has gone down and R damage has gone down. So basically a lot of her utility has been hit, a lot of her DPS has been hit as well, which is also one of the things that they are targeting very much at the utility carries. So you aren't picking her ultimate for the damage, but you are just toning it down a little bit now that it won't bring as much damage, and you are relying more on Runan's Hurricane Infinity Edge build with the ranges focused, which now doesn't work for 5 seconds anymore. It only works for 4. The duration has been lowered, so it isn't as strong, and the DPS has been changed a little bit, but not too much. Attacking wards no longer cancels the package boost, speed boost. Shouldn't have done that in the first place anyways. And Diana pull distance increased. So Diana is not the biggest buff, and I feel like Diana might need some more buffs because I actually love to see her and play her, but she's just not strong enough anymore. This might help her in the jungle, that Moonfall, because you aren't going to be using Moonfall pre-level 6 in a lane anyways. So here is actually fine if you can get it onto the jungle. Isn't going to be the tipping point for her, but it's going to be helping her a little bit. So Draven, our cooldown and cost reduced. 120 to 100 mana. A little bit of help. You can run out of mana real quick if you use a lot of his spinning axes, so this will just be a small buff that will help him a little bit. And Evelyn cooldown decreased. That's fine as well. We probably aren't going to be seeing a lot of Evelyn because she still doesn't clear the jungle fast enough, despite her perhaps building runic echoes. And even if she goes for a runic echo, she's going to be squishy and she's going to be falling off in the late game, whereas someone like Elise, who basically does what Evelyn does better, will not fall off as hard as Evelyn will. So Evelyn is still not good enough in my opinion. So Ezreal, passive attack speed increased, and attack speed per stack and maximum attack speed. I really like this because in this meta that Riot has enforced upon us, you're looking at more the laning phase. So with them buffing these late game type of carries, you are again buffing the late game, and therefore you have more ways to play around the map. Now you can play early game champions like Lucian per se. You can Jhin. Now you can also pick Ezreal, and Jinx has also gotten a buff in this patch. So you'll just see that they are really focusing a lot on getting late game out there as well. And talking about late game, by the way, with the ghost buffs, it's actually a lot of attack speed that he is getting. So I like what they're doing. But talking about late game, Gangplank has been a dominant pick in top lane lately because of him being this late game scaling top laner, and him having the potential to answer to someone like Shen, who whenever he ults you can use the cannon barrage. And I can see that has been hit in this patch. It doesn't have as much damage anymore, and its cooldown has been increased, so she's not as safe anymore. And you can't just use that cannon barrage to go to send it to the bottom lane if, for example, Shen TP's there. Uses his Stand United there, because you need to take in consideration that it's a long cooldown now, and you might need to save it for per se a fight or a gank or to clear minions. I like this, and you have seen a lot of people use his ultimate to clear minions, something that when 6 were in the meta, a lot of people used his bomb, his Mega Inferno bomb, to clear waves, and that got hit because that was simply too strong. It simply should not be that way you use it, and therefore it got a bigger cooldown. I think some of the damage to the minions were removed as well. So basically it's not that, so now you need to be more considerate of when you're using it. And just his safety in general has been hit with his health, base health going down, and remove scurry costing more mana. That just means that he'll have to think about when he uses it and why he uses it. His safety is also one of the things that has made people pick him, because now with him not having as much safety, he can still scale to late game, but it's just going to be probably a medium risk, high reward kind of champion. Perhaps high risk, I'm not quite sure how it'll pan out, but let's move on. So Gragas, E cooldown up, R now has a fixed travel time. So I think this is a good solution to Gragas, because a lot of the champions that are in the jungle meta has been junglers who has been able to clear really fast, to get around the map really fast as well with utility. And if you if you hit the body slam from Gragas, that just means that his mobility will be going down, his ganking potential will be going down as well, because he won't be as strong anymore. And that means that he'll be a little bit more balanced per se, because now he just won't be as dominant as he could be. And about this explosive cask, that is going to be actually pretty extreme, because that means that now you can't use your Q first. You have to use your R immediately if you want to ensure that it hits. Before, you could just it would take like 0 seconds before it would cast it before it hits the travel time, and now it's just have a fixed one. So now you can't be as cocky, if you would put it that way, and you have to use it immediately, because you have to expect that people have a flash. So let's see, Jace. E cost down, R's AP ratio replaced with AD radio. So I like what they're doing. They are buffing a lot of different champions that fits into different kind of compositions. So now with Jace come back, you get a little bit more of a pokey champion, which is something you definitely need when you are going for these AoE, also called teamfight compositions, or a pick composition, or a push composition, double AD carry composition. You need all to be well balanced so that you can pick everything. And especially the AD ratio being, the AP ratio being replaced with AD is smart, because he is an AD champion, and that does benefit him a lot, which is actually a good buff. Again, and utility AD carry coming out being nerfed. So Deadly Floor is first of all losing 0.2 bonus attack damage, and however it gets more damage towards minions and monsters. So that just means, again, his long range abilities simply won't be as strong. It won't pack as much damage as it used to do, and therefore his skirmish is going to be a little bit weaker. And I think it's fine, because when you go into the Yuma's Ghostblade, into a that new item, I can't remember, the Duskblade of Draktar, when you build it that way, when you get off that armor pen, you really pack a lot of damage, a lot of AD, and your long range abilities are simply just too strong. And for the current skull, you now have 2.5 for every 1% of target's missing health. So that means that it'll help you more when you use it late. And simply the base damage from the ability won't be as strong. You want to hit people when they are low, And I like this change because a lot of people used Curtain's Call as an engaged tool, which is not what it is supposed to be doing. He's an AD carry, he's not an engager. You get a little bit of utility from him, yes, but he is there to deal the damage, and you don't do that by engaging with Jolt. So, well, of course, there are Ashe, but she's not packing as much damage as someone like Jhin. Jhin is there to really deal a lot of heavy damage over a few seconds, and then he'll slow down a little bit. So I like this change, and I think it is a good way of perhaps toning him down a little bit. And then Jinx, our radio increased. Oh shit, that is a lot. So 0.05 bonus attack damage coming over to the Super Mega Death Rocket minimum radio, and 0.5 bonus attack damage on the maximum radio. Again, just focusing on getting those late game AD carries into it, and I think that is fine. People still don't like to play Jinx because of her attack speed that got changed a long time ago. Not that I think this is going to be like exactly the tipping point that'll get her back, but it's definitely a way to help her a little bit. And then Smoother Ken's basic attacks helps him land his CS. Kled, colorblind, blah blah blah. Malphite, W cooldown decreased. W gives more armor and skills better with armor as well. So late game as well, you are now stronger in the late game as Malphite. You get more armor, and I think this is good because now he's not supposed to be good in the early game. He's supposed to be there for the late game wombo combos. So doing it this way is really smart in my opinion, and it buffs up that late game as well. So now you can decide to play for the later stages of the game, despite early game being so important right now. You can't play around that. Morgana E cast range increased. Not quite sure why, but it's a nice little buff. Our Orianna, R and cooldown, R cost and cooldown decreased. Yes, late game, and she's mana hungry, so going from 150 to 100 mana is actually quite huge for her. And that cooldown being reduced as well means that you can screw up in the late game and not throw the game because you can then back off. So good changes all around for Orianna, and late game is the theme of this patch. So movement speed up for Poppy, and her W resistance is increased. We haven't seen her in a long time, and this means that now she will be able to stick onto her target fast more, and her presence in lane with the steadfast presence passive resistant bonus is going to help us survive lane a little bit more and be that lane bully which he is supposed to be. So I think that those changes are good. And then Rek'Sai, E and R cooldown increased, means that she'll have less mobility. She's still going to have those really strong early game clears, but her mobility is going to be toned down a little bit, which is again the top 3 of the junglers: Rek'Sai, Gragas, and oh god, who is it? Elise. Rek'Sai, Elise. Yeah, Rek'Sai, Elise, and oh my god, I'm sorry. Rek'Sai and Elise and Gragas. Sorry, the top 3 junglers right now. So if you take away some of their mobility, Elise hasn't gotten hit in this patch, but Rek'Sai and Gragas has, and now they won't have as much ability, but their fast clears in the early game is still going to be there. But taking away a little bit of mobility is going to be fine, because that means that they won't be as dominant as they used to be. And Riven are damage up, yes sir. So now you can get that the late game, but you might have to go up against some lane bullies, which they are also buffing now, and the split pushers, because Riven is a split pusher, and you don't want to go up against that. And with her Blade of the Exile now being buffed, she can deal quite some damage. Rise or cast range up at rank 1, so 250 range, not going to be huge I think, because people will still probably not pick it at 11. It's not that long still. And there are simply better things. Again, okay, so Severe we come to. Severe. Utility 80 carry. And her damage DPS has been hit. Because now her ricochets won't have as much off the radio. 80 radio. It has been toned down. Her DPS, sorry, attack speed from on the hunt means that her DPS won't be as huge, and that has simply been the theme of Jin and Ash, and I agree with these changes to Sivir, because I don't think that you want to be hitting her her ult. You don't want to be taking away the movement speed, because then she is going to be useless, and that is the reason to why you pick her, the movement speed. And Fresh, giving him lower cooldowns on his box. Yeah, small buff helps him a little bit. Trundle. So this is one I think is very interesting, because you can still use the pillar early on. It's still going to be close to the same cooldown, but now you can't use it as much in the late game. You have to be more considerate of when you use it. And I think that this is a good solution, because it can be very punishing in the later stages of the game, especially in a team fight. You can be caught out by that trundle pillar of ice, but you can still use it in the inner lane, where for example you go up against Jin or Ashe or Sivir, all those 380 carries who are really strong in the current meta. You can still go up against those and use that pillar of ice, which is so strong against it, which is also why we see a lot of Trundle, and of course this Chomp, which is very obnoxious. Wayne, Q scaling increase the later ranks. Again, a buff to the late game 80 carries, which will help a little bit. I mean, again, it gives a lot of opportunities and options for people to pick 80 carries. And passive grants more ability on kills or assist. So this is also something I think is really good, because now with his passive giving more ability power on kill assist, it means that you can go for more early kills with a Veigar and still scale into the late game. So they mixed a little bit of both patch 6.16 and patch 6.17, where they want you to go for the early game, but you can also go for the late game now. That helps with Veigar. Then why passive and Q cooldowns decreased at early levels. So Q means she'll have more mobility on the map. Her knockback duration means that she'll be stronger in a gank. So I like these changes, and the blast shield will help her get through her early clears, which she has never really been that strong in. And then excessive force will also help her with her early clears, but now she gains 2 charges immediately, and that is going to be huge when you get that early clear. And turret AI. So champions within enemy turret range can now draw turret aggro when attacking enemy champions within 400 range of the turret. Turret attack range is still unchanged at 775. Okay, so now you have to be more wary of when you're ganking, because ganking or diving, because now that means that you will get the aggro earlier, which means that yes, you can still only get attacked at 775 range away from the tower, but you will gain that aggro faster, and therefore it will attack you faster as well. At least that's what I think it's going to be. And then when the turret switches to targeting champions due to having no other units to target, now prioritizes the closest champion attacking rather than a random champion in its range. So that means that when you're diving, you want to be close to the tower as a tank or a tanky support, or your AD carry will most likely get the aggro. So that's something that people have to take in consideration when they are doing it. And then the rest I don't care about. So thank you all for watching this patch rundown. I'll make sure to to upload more of them. I did skip 1 or 2 patches because I simply didn't have time, but I'll make sure that I have more time in the future, and I'll see you around. So thank you for watching this video. Remember, you can find my social media links in the description box below, and I'll see you next time.